Well, hi, all my friends. Well, I'm very sorry that I haven't been on the YouTube. I didn't have a chance to really say anything about it, and I just didn't have any time to explain what was going on. And anyway, I was on my way to work a week ago Wednesday, and Julie called me to come and get her, to take her to the airport because her father was in the hospital and not doing well. So I had to make a U-E and get back and get her and just throw some things together. And the synchronicities through this whole 7 days that I was in Colorado were just really incredible. How God works and how everything just sort of comes together when you know it's a part of your plan. And I flew really to the Los Angeles airport. And when we were on the freeway, what was in front of us was a white hearse. And I said to Julie, I said, look at that, I'm like, and then later on, there was a fire truck that was in front of us that had something to do with her mother, kind of another reminder of things. And anyway, we had a good flight, and I'm on the flight. Next to me is a very lovely lady who works with the dying. And I thought, this synchronicities again, just incredible. So we rent a car. I fly down to the hospital. We get there at 8:30, and I know that my father, he's in very bad shape and in distress, and he's dying. So I kissed the top of his head, and I told him, it was very difficult to do, but I told him to go ahead, and we were there now, and he could let his spirit go and go to his loved ones. And he had just lost his best friend of 79 years. I think I mentioned that. And so that was really hard for me, and it was really hard for Juliana to let her father go. And she just told him, that previous Sunday that, Dad, I let you go. And he was happy to hear that. And every day for a month, he's been talking about wanting to go. So we stayed until about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep in the chair that they gave me, and Juliana couldn't sleep. And she saw a mist leave her father sometime that early morning. But his body was still alive, even though he was off of everything and they were giving him morphine. We had to tell them to do that. And so that was hard, So we went to the place where my father lives and was living, and we stayed there. They let us stay the whole week. And it's sort of an assisted living place. And so there was no hotel rooms available because there was a big event happening in the city at the Air Force Academy. And so that was a God-sent blessing, And while we were there, we got to meet all of my dad's friends, and that morning when we woke up, they asked if we wanted to have breakfast, and we said yes, And so we're sitting there, and this guy comes over. His name is Hal, and he's a friend of Ken. He says, I'm a friend of Ken's, and we would sit every morning and say grace together. And just as he's telling us this, we get a call from the hospital saying, get over here ASAP. So we said our goodbyes, and I flew again to the hospital. And we get up to the third floor, and the nurses kind of came around the room and wouldn't let us in. And I said, this is his daughter, and I'm his daughter-in-law. Please let us in to the room. And her cousin, Candy, was already there. And she's a nurse. And so they let her in, and he was already gone. So that we had our time and our moment with him. And then we had to go and now prepare for a funeral. So we went and spent several hours doing that. And now we had to prepare what to do with all of his things and his room and everything. So it was very a daunting task, but I knew that I knew he was happy. I knew that his spirit left, and he's now with all of his loved ones, and he's happy, and he doesn't want to come back necessarily right away to Earth, because he spent 105 months on this Earth. And so whatever his soul wanted to experience, I think he experienced it. And even though we miss him terribly, his presence, we know his spirit is, in heaven, and he's happy, So, yeah. And Hal told me later that he had accepted Christ into his heart about a month ago. He had told him that. So I thought that was really interesting. And so the people that we met that sat at his table, and the people that would come by and everything, well, we told the family, the cousins of his best friend, okay, the children of his best friend are cousins, okay, really, because the two best friends married sisters, so they're intermeshed. And so the cousins came over, and they took everything that they wanted. We couldn't take anything back with us to California, except, we had a few things shipped, but, just paperwork and that kind of stuff, really nothing, no furniture or, anything like that. So all of his clothing, all of his stuff, and it's a lot of stuff, okay? So then later, a gal that sat with him, her name is Virginia, same name as his sister that passed away earlier, says that she has been wanting his room because it's one with a skylight, and she needs a lot of sun. And her name was first on the list to get that apartment. And I said, well, how wonderful, he would love that, And so there were some things that she didn't have, and she was able to take some of his things for herself that she could use for crafting and things like that. And so that worked out really well. Well, people were telling us they saw double rainbows. People took pictures of Pikes Peak, and it looked like it had snow on it in August. Okay, and Ken loved Pikes Peak and looking at it, and he loved looking at the airplanes and all of that stuff too, just as Terry did. Terry was a bomber pilot, so it looked like somebody did a snow angel in the snow, and you look at the picture. And so the funeral was just beautiful, elegant, simply stated, with the military there, saluting our father. We had a picture of both Terry and Ken together in their birthday hats, and they had the flag and everything that they gave to Julie, and Julie then gave it to Rock, her cousin, who was in the military, and he was like Ken's favorite, one of his favorite boys, and so he loved Pat and Rock too, both of them. And so anyway, so we gave him the flag. And they did a gun salute. And then the guys, both Pat and Rock gave a beautiful eulogy, and they did a song, and they did lots of songs, and it was really beautiful. So a lot of the people couldn't come to the funeral because it was a holiday weekend, and they couldn't get buses, they said, to bring them out, which was sort of a shame. And so what I did was I took all of the booklets, the program, or whatever you call it, funeral booklet, and I passed them to all of the people that were, in his assisted living home area, to all the people there. And I donated a lot of things, just about everything, bags and bags of stuff I've donated. And certain people took things that, worked there and that were, that took care of him, that wanted a little something of him. And he was just, everybody just loved him. And just spoke so highly of what a gentleman's gentleman he was, and he was. And, it took a while to make that man into that man, but he finally got there. So anyway, that's why I haven't been here and been on YouTube, because I've been taking care of family business. And so I had calls and calls to make, and banks and tax people to see, and attorneys and all that kind of stuff. So just was really a very difficult last week. And anyway, prayers would be really nice to get from you guys for both Juliana and I. And I did put a song out, a John Denver song for Colorado, and it was really for my dad. He and Betty both love John Denver, so I did this old guitar song. And so anyway, I hope you enjoy that. Yeah, so that's about it. Back home and having to go to work today, so whew, boy, sometimes it's just not easy doing what you have to do. But at the same time, I'm so thankful to know that I know what I know, and because it gives me hope. I know that I will see my dad. I know I will see Betty and get to meet her. And I know that I will see my mom again, and my loved ones, my cousins and my uncles and my grandparents, and both sets. And that I will see people that I care about again, and it just may be in a different form, and one that's even more real than what we see here. And from what I understand from their near-death experiencers, who talk about how Earth is more like a paper mache, 2D paper mache compared to the real thing. So that I can't really wait for. I'm so looking forward to that. But meanwhile, while I'm here, I'm trying to fulfill what my soul needs to learn and to do, and to be giving and to be loving, and to let you know that God loves you so very much and wants you to know him and wants you to know his love for you, and that that he's given you this opportunity to experience what you need to experience to grow your soul while you're here. And if you don't understand why you're going through what you're going through, ask him to tell you, why are you going through what you're going through, and see what kind of answer you get. And remember, you may not get an answer right away, so be patient. Anyway, I hope that you have a great week, and leave me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Okay, love you guys. Bye-bye.